Sandra Pike from Roll Page Atlantic and the Pike Group, and I am with Pam again from Red Door. And I sent Pam, some information because I really wanted to know what was happening in the luxury market, around Nova Scotia, and who is better to speak about that than Miss Pam. So I will let you introduce yourself and the brokerage that you own. Pam, go right ahead.
My name is Pam Cherington. I'm the owner and the broker of Red Door Realty. I urge you to take a look at our website and see what properties are on there for you to buy.
Absolutely. So, you and I were just talking before we came on here live, and just talking about the market. Where do you think so we looked at the average house price from January is down, but from June, we're up from June, which is great. We're down from January, but up from June. But our units, this is the worst month we've ever had, since January or February, sorry. So where do you think we're going to be by the end of 2022? And we still have, 2.5 months to go.
Well, isn't it like we spoke about? It's interesting that the units are down, but we still are having a little bit of equity in the properties and values there. And I think that's just indicative of how much our properties went up.
Yep.
You've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this twice as long, if not 3 times as long. So there was properties in there that we were all just standing on. We just couldn't even believe that they would sell for that kind of value. So and there were all of them. It wasn't like there was just pockets at that time. So now there's pockets of why did that go for that? And then 3 doors down, nobody wants it. I think that our values were so puffed up that the air is getting let out of the balloon for sure. And I think October, November, December, we will see more. But I think that people are preparing their houses for market to get the most money they are. They are listening to their realtors. We're not in a market where people still do not need their realtors. They need that advice to get the money that they're going to get to see the stats that they want to get. And
Absolutely.
I think January, February, March, we're going to have a little bit of a, let's get going. And then we're not going to run like crazy next year, but we're going to have a solid year, and it's going to separate the men from the boys like it always does.
So speaking of next year, so let's say if military moves, they usually start around anywhere between February to April. And I know I didn't send this question to you, but do you feel with the limited amount of inventory, because there's only 400 homes on the market that were listed in September, for example, do you feel with the limited inventory that we could potentially see some competition in homes that are under 600 potentially?
100% I do. Yeah. I think it has to happen unless we can get more people on board with selling their houses to, it's not even balanced at that time. It's still a buyer's market.
Absolutely. And totally off topic is now.
Or a seller's market, right?
Yes,
seller's
yes.
market.
But now that I'm speaking with you, so I don't know if you would have read it on All Nova Scotia a few days ago, they talked about now the tiny homes are finally approved with HRM. Do you think that will make any type of dent within the with our market here? Do you think that'll affect us at all?
Have you seen those tiny homes?
Well,
they're pretty tiny. They're pretty tiny.
But so some of them, like I've seen the ones that are around 400 or 440 square feet. But if it's a couple, that's potentially all that you would need, right? So would it affect residential or would it affect commercial, like commercial apartments? I wonder.
I don't think it's going to affect us at all for a while. I think that that's just too, I'm going to say almost a fad in a little ways till we see more of them around and whatever. But I just think that is something that in the Maritimes, I think that'll be like somewhere in a bigger city that you all of a sudden see the little homes kind of take off, and then it'll be our turn to do it, that type of thing. I don't think we'll see anything like that for a while.
Well, now I'm going to get back to the questions that I sent to you. So, your brokerage does do a lot of the, the higher ends in the West End and the downtown core. Have you seen any type of change in the market, let's say between August and September?
Oh yeah, the sales are, every weekend, yeah, they're slower and slower coming in. And of course, we have to put all of our multiple offers in the files and everything, and it's not a multiple offer situation anymore. Now, Sometimes it's two offers, which still goes for big money over if there's that one flyer out there that does it. But certainly, there's definitely a pause, 100%. And
Um,
everybody's attitude too. I mean, they expected it, and then they kind of wanted it because they were tired, so they let it happen even more, and now it's just here.
no, I know. And are you seeing the price drops in the South End or even on any other parts of Nova Scotia where your
Well,
brokerage?
certainly not really down in Lunenburg and Mahone Bay. I mean, that's still, a strong market and a strong desire to be down there.
Mhm.
And they're out of towners. They're out of province, not so much out of country, but out of province.
Now, would you be getting that the same with that in Halifax or mostly, let's say, with?
It does surprise me when I look at where they're from that there's
Yeah.
that many. It always does, because I look at every agreement and it always says where they're from and everything, and I'm always like, oh, really, really, yeah.
Okay.
So it is enough that it tweaks my interest.
That's interesting. I mean, for me being a listing agent, just solely within the HRM, most of the offers now that I'm receiving are just local.
Local, yeah.
Yeah. And what I am seeing multiple offers in is product that's under 400,000. Like I had a listing over in Eastern
Only.
Pat and we received six offers. So I was quite surprised. Definitely didn't anticipate that all from my sellers, but good for them. So apart from, talking in a general standpoint, where do you see the luxury market, let's say in 2023?
So it's interesting. What is the luxury market now? Do you know what I mean? So before, the luxury market was, let's say, anything over 1 million,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And now when you see things like at 750 and 850 and 950, it's like, are they luxury? I'm not sure they're luxury. So let's go to the 1.5 and the 2 million
Yep.
as luxury type of thing. I mean, there's always going to be. I don't think the interest rates affect those properties at all. you
No,
know
I wouldn't
I
say so.
think that the people who are going to buy those properties, want them. It's the desirability to move here, and then for our people to move up to that, right? So they have to be able to sell their properties down here to get the 1.5 and the 2 millions, if that's what their long-term plans are. um
Now, I would say for
and
the
and
local
when I
buyer,
think when you did such a good job on that graph, it would be interesting to see how many of the luxury of the big homes did sell. You know what I mean? I mean, there's still, most of them did, because there wasn't a lot on the market, but usually there's enough. Well, there isn't enough buyers to make it look like there's a little. There's always a lot, but
yeah.
that would be interesting.
So I would say within the city, if I were to look at the $1 million homes, I would say locally, I would say that market would be really small.
Very
But
small.
if I were to look at, let's say, people who would purchase, over 1 million out around, on the ocean, I
Hmm.
think that would be an easier sell.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, so you can go to the 1.5 million and be St. Margaret's Bay, be, Porter's Lake, Williams, all that kind of stuff down in Waverly. But then you can be 1.5 million inside the city on a little piece of dirt, or in a
Yeah,
condo,
that's true.
or in a
I know there's
condo.
one that listed in our
Condos are
area.
strong, 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 strong.
Yeah, especially the pavilion. They did extremely well. And even where I own one at the Keep, they did extremely well
Yours was
during,
beautiful.
thank you, during COVID.
Yeah.
It went, that building did well, which is great for them. Yeah, there's just been, so many changes and new construction that has slowed down dramatically. Will that make a difference? Like, do your agents have people who are looking at new construction now?
We don't do a lot of new construction. I mean, that's a whole other kettle of fish when you get into that. The agents, I mean, that's a grind and a half. I mean,
Yeah,
sitting out there, those properties, and fitting out a new home and that type of thing. But we do look at those stats out there, because of course those are people, they're going and then they're waiting, right?
yeah.
So they're going and they're committing and then they're waiting and that type of thing. So then their houses have to be sold, or they're renting.
Mm.
Um, but it's interesting that it's come to that slow. Like
Yeah, I was surprised that I think only 10 would have sold at HRM in September.
that's, I mean, Is it that there's none available because the permits are all, you know what I mean? That type of thing. I mean, that's an unbelievable stat, really.
Yeah, I was, again, I was shocked, and I don't know, again, if it would have been skewed up to if some, but I mean, I don't think there'd be any new construction homes that would be on the market for up to a year unless they were resale.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think the market has taken pieces from every sector. You know what I mean? Like it always does in Halifax. You know, condos were sort of always sort of the last thought, and it's quite, you know, obviously the price of them and people can afford them, and then they want to live where close to where they work. So they've really, really become desirable.
So do you see, let's say the South End, student housing, for example? I mean, you must get a ton of calls from parents, as I know I do, of, kids, people are looking for rentals, although I don't do rentals, but you always get the call. But do you see more homes becoming for sale in the South End, let's say coming up in January, like where kids are finishing school? Like, are you getting any calls on that now?
Well, it's really hard to sell those if they're income properties, right? With all the restrictions and everything. I mean, the multi-unit, there's a whole stat right there that is flattened.
Wow.
You know, I mean, we didn't even look at that. We were looking at single family dwellings. I mean, the multi-res units, those guys that sell all those buildings, they're worried. Their
Really?
their hands are
Uh,
tied.
so would that be just, let's say, high rises, or let's say four under?
Well, anything that has income, anything that you rent out, you know. I mean, there's all sorts of controls.
Wow. And you don't see any of that changing soon. I guess the rent caps have been quite difficult for many.
Yeah, no, and so if you're buying into that, you've got to believe that's either going to change in the near future or be something that you can work with, or your money's no good there.
No, that would be absolutely. Well, Pam, I won't keep you long. I really wanted to get a handle on, what your thoughts were of the luxury market, and I think I do see it continue to be strong out around the Bay, and because they are desirable. It's just here in the city, I think, as opposed to selling in 7 days, you might sell in 70 days for a higher end home right now.
Well, yeah, and luxury also, it's something you've dreamt of that you want, and you know, you're willing to take out all the stops. And when you look at those properties, they sell quickly and for all the money that they're worth.
Yes, but well, they're not, well, out that way, but just not in the city, which is unfortunate.
Exactly. Yeah. And they got to be priced right.
Yes. One more question. So we looked at, there was 134 homes, I believe, in HRM in September that would have sold below asking. And do you think that, the prices, people are still pricing their homes too high and that's why they're coming down, or what do you see the reason?
Well, I think we're in that gray area. I think you're right. Like that we're in that gray area of what to do. So do you do a program? Do you not do a program? Do you say 48 hours and not? You know, so it's all different. And then all of a sudden you start getting phone calls and your whole day's booked the next day, but you've got two offers on your desk. And, you know, is the devil you know better than the devil you don't know? Like, what do you do at that point, right? Those are all coming back into our real estate skills that we've lost from months ago and years ago that we didn't need to do those skills, and that's what's going to separate us. All the realtors out there who don't know what they're doing in this market don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's pivoting fairly quickly. Like the one we had in Eastern Passage, we had no idea that we were going to get multiple offers. And when I saw that the showings were happening fairly quickly, and we put on it right away, we're holding offers till Monday morning. We just weren't anticipating, but it was paying attention. How many showings are coming in and just the activity. And so I think you really need to be on your game for every listing, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You just don't know. So I was called into a listing at the beginning of September when things were really like whispering, you know what I mean? Like we had the Labor Day weekend and everything, and there doesn't seem to be anything going on. I go to this house in Clayton Park. It was an estate. I tell them they have to clean it out and paint it. They say, no way. I'm like, whatever. Then another agent took it, left it the way it was. It had 9 offers, went 55 over list.
Yeah, you don't know. You
I'm
absolutely
eating
don't
the
know.
egg off my face still.
Oh, we've all done that once or twice.
So what do? You know, it's like anything. We just don't know.
No, I hear you. Well, Pam, I want you to have a great rest of the week, and thank you for coming. I look forward to us getting together again.
Take care.